And we are live. Wednesday night with those guys, and Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by
those guys. All right.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is Wednesday night with those guys. And, you know, as always, Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by those guys. And how is everyone out there on this beautiful hump day, the middle of the week?
Okay.
How are you guys doing, Mark? Stephen, how are you
good,
guys?
Man, I'm good. And what about you, Stephen?
I'm doing fine, considering, you know, I'm nearly there, nearly at the finishing point. It's now Thursday morning here, so I've got 3 more days left, and then I'm out of here.
A few more days. How many more days you have there?
Right,
I've got 3 more days, so I officially end quarantine at midnight on Sunday night.
Okay.
Officially end at midnight. However, the way that the rules go here, I need to stay until Monday morning. So we will leave on Monday morning, but I still can't leave the hotel room because the way that the rules go here is 14 days in quarantine and then 7 days health management. But that still requires you to go to a special hotel. But I'm free to leave that hotel. But I check into that hotel on Monday afternoon or Monday morning. So if I leave the hotel on Sunday night at midnight, I can't get back into this hotel because it's a very, very strict lockdown with so, and I can't go to any other hotel because I need to go to the hotel that I'm supposed to go to for the health management. So it's really crazy. So I need to stay until Monday morning.
Okay.
So let me get this straight. So they got all your hotel accommodations for the first 3 weeks of you being there.
Yes. And I have another hotel booked for when that week finishes. So that And when I booked that hotel for my team as well. So I booked it for my whole team, and it's literally nearby where we're going to be working actually. So it's like walking distance. They actually got back to me and said, we can't accept your booking because we need to know that you're doing the 14 days plus 7 days. You know, it's insane. It really is insane. Wow. So I need to get back to them and show them I'm staying at this hotel for 14 days, and then I'm staying at this hotel for 7 days. And when I check out of there, I'm coming to you. And they're like, okay, thank you very much. Then you can come.
Well, they're really serious.
You got to give them your whole itinerary so that way that you could actually function in that city.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was saying this the last time, but the numbers here are actually very, very low. The numbers here are extremely low. They're about like 5 to 10 cases per day here. Wow. You know, it's really low, but it's low because they have these restrictions in, you see, so it's like that. So, you know, they have it under control, but for a reason.
Okay.
Wow. I'm just typing with Mike in the chat. It just saying it's kind of cold. I was asking him what's up. Stephen, I would like to congratulate you and the Flyby guys, because you guys have made SUAS drone news. And it says the Flyby guys in Seattle LLC in a joint venture to expand global operations. And I'm just going to share the screen with just this little picture right here. Some strange looking guy in a yellow slicker.
Article in yellow Drone Life.
So, what happened, Herman?
There's also an article in Drone Life magazine.
Yeah, that just came out this morning. Yeah.
Good. Congratulations to you and the Flyby guys.
Thank you.
Keep on grinding. I see you're doing your thing. It's this. The article actually took me to your website, which I was checking out the layout. You know, I'm taking notes, where we're taking notes. So, or should I say, I'm taking notes, a lot of notes on a lot of things I see, and but we won't get into that. Just wanted to say congratulations to you and your team. Keep on striving, man. Keep on
Thank
doing
you.
what you guys are doing.
Thank you. This is going to be an interesting time. This has been on the boil now for a few months. So we will have an office opening up in Dubai in the next month or two. Okay. We're just going through the whole legality with it, and we will be based in an aviation hub. So there's actually an aviation hub which is for which is for airlines and for drone companies, and we automatically get, let's say, permission to do testing in the airport as well, so we can do drone operations there. And it's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be nice. This has been on the boil. We have a new guy starting in Dubai. He's an old friend of mine, a guy that I used to work with in Dubai many years ago, and he contacted me about 3 years ago, and he was like, it's been a while. I love the Flyby guys. This whole thing is just amazing. He says, I want to be part of it. And for the next few years, he's always been pushing, and he's now got some funding from a local sheikh there. And so we have a plan. We have customers lined up, and let's see how it goes. But it should be the start of going more global.
Okay. Well, that's the objective. You're definitely doing it.
Yeah. Eventually, you won't be drinking out of those paper cups anymore.
If I keep traveling like this, I will be drinking out of paper cups all the time.
Well, hopefully that this thing disappears, and things will go a little smoother in the next year or so.
I hope so. I do hope so. I really do. And I think that this is this is a good time just now, for things happening like this. But it's also really good for everyone to know that when you have this, when you have a company like the Flyby guys, someone like myself who is a hobbyist, I am a hobbyist as well as a professional, and it's important to know what you're capable of, to know that if you have a love of flying drones, if you have a love of the community, if you have a love of wanting to take yourself further, it is possible. You can do it. This is a whole new industry which hasn't even broken through yet. So the capabilities of what you are able to do is endless. It's absolutely endless. So, and that's just my tip to everyone. If you love this, if this is what you want to do, go for it. Because if we can do it, you can do it. Trust me.
and I understand that completely with the ups and downs, and hopefully more ups than downs, but it's a learning process.
You will have ups and downs. You will, your downs are the lowest, and your ups are the highest. Right. I can think of days where, you lose a deal, you lose work, something happens and it takes you down. You really hope this is going to happen, and it sinks. And that can be like 10 o'clock in the morning, you find this out. And then at 3:30 in the afternoon, you have the highest of high. So being in this game is, it is a roller coaster. I don't mean to sound that, a bit like a cliche, but it's like a roller coaster. You can be up and down on certain days. And, you just have to keep pushing. You have to keep your head up. You have to have a bit of faith in yourself, and it is possible.
And that seems to be what it's all about. Hey, Gary, Brant, Ariel's blind, Neil, how are you guys? Mike is still probably sitting here as well. You know what it is?
Neil, what's going on, man?
In order to be, from what I'm finding out, in order to be in drones, you have to have a poker face at all times. You know, if there's a time to laugh and hang out, but you laugh and hang out behind closed doors. When you go out on the streets, you put that poker face on and you get your job done, and then you go home and then you pat yourself on the back or congratulate whoever helped you. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's
Right.
exactly what you have to do. If
yeah.
you don't have the confidence,
But at the end, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be here without, the help of, let's say, the business community as well as the community. We've had support. Everyone out there has been supporting. Messages of support, but the business community is also something as well. I mean, in Finland, we have a very, very good business community, and we help each other. Everyone helps each other. We have a WhatsApp group where all the companies, all the businesses are on. We're on one WhatsApp group, and we discuss, we ask for help, we share information. That's really important, and that's not something that happens in many countries. In fact, I don't even know any countries. If we look at the UK,
you're right about that.
Yeah. I mean, if
right.
you look at the UK, if you look at the UK, they're one of the biggest backstabbing business communities I've actually ever seen. There's not
really?
one. Yeah, oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's some good companies. Don't get me wrong, there are good companies
of
there.
course.
Yeah, but as a collective, it's the big backstabbing. Watch yourself. Nobody's. There's not much support there, and everyone's ready to push you down. Because they're jealous. There's people who think that they're doing stuff, and they're. It's. I mean, it's a real shame. And then
It's because you're doing something they're not doing or didn't think of, maybe.
It's this survival thing. I think that I think that what we have in Finland with the business community, we have it's not like a written code, it's not like a moral code, but it's Finnish people are very moral. Finnish people are very, very, they'll never stab you in the back, they'll never do anything to you that that is bad. So when we are doing work, if someone honestly cannot do that work, they will give it to another company. They will phone them up. Nobody steps on each other's toes. That just doesn't happen. No one goes and steals customers. And because of that, we are helping the Finnish drone community to be one of the best drone business communities in the world, and that's why there's news happening all the time. Right. If you look at the Finnish aviation, it's really big. It's not as good or as big as the Ukrainian, let's say, aviation industry, right, which is even huger. But I mean, I'm very, very proud of the Finnish business community. I want to see that happening at everybody else. I want to see, communities and people getting, working together, talking together, because that's how you get successful, not by stabbing people in the back.
Well, here in the States, as far as the workforce mentality, it's been always that you look out for yourself and you keep your head down and keep on moving. So I guess it carries itself to the next level and so on and so forth. Even amongst union people, you keep your head down, you worry about yourself, and you keep on moving.
Of course.
And I think it graduates with people onto the next level of thinking. So I mean that is a beautiful way of thinking, and I like that, because if you think you can stand on an island by yourself, there's no survival in that.
Not in this industry. Not in this industry. And the ones who are, the ones who are standing on by themselves on that island, those are the ones that are not pushing forward. Those are the ones that are doing the same jobs for very little money because they don't have the ability to think ahead for the future. They don't have the ability
to
push
tires in the same spot, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see it. I know people. I can name names. I could name companies, but I would never do that. But I know who they are, and you can see it. Stubborn. They're very stubborn, but they won't let go of this. Me. You can't get in. I can't show you. I can't give you anything. I can't share. Well, it's fine. Okay. That's fine.
think DJI apps could disappear from the Apple Store and Google. Okay, Interactive DNA says, I think DJI apps could disappear from Apple Store and Google Play this year. Same thing that happened to the phone company. That's why no 4GD is on Mavic 3 in the USA. Oh, that's a completely different topic altogether, but I could see that happening for the simple reason Apple Store and Google Play want you to pay to have their apps on there. So I could kind of understand that. As far as
also, I think, it's also to do with privacy and stuff. If they don't meet the requirements of let's say security, then they will not be allowed on there. And if they're finding holes in there, they do have the right to say your app's not going to be on their store.
Well, is it having to do with the fact of the whole entity list and that whole list that DJI was put on is why you're not finding like the when you did the update for the Fly app, it wasn't found. It's not found in. It never was found in the Google Play Store. You had to download it and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it had something to do with that, because it was fine before that. So I don't know if I don't think it had anything to do with having to pay to have your app on there. I think it was more so with that in the United States and this, that, and the other, with that whole list and not doing business with this company. And
it's I think it's really interesting just now with DJI, especially with this Mavic 3, just been watching a lot of videos that are going out just now, and Ken Dono is selling his Mavic 3 and stuff, and this is when you have a company that you rely on, a drone that you've been waiting for, and it's only half a product, it's not good. It isn't good at all. It isn't good. I don't have the Mavic 3 yet because I've been traveling basically since I've been traveling since October almost.
Right.
So, and when it was released, I was in Indonesia at that point. So, and I get home beginning of March, and I was going to buy it then, but I'm honestly not thinking about buying it now. I'm thinking about waiting, until they fix all these problems, because I'm not spending that money for only half a product. No way, not a chance.
Well, it's funny because I see more people complaining about issues that they've heard on the Mavic 3 than people who actually have the Mavic 3 that are complaining about it.
Yeah.
And there makes the difference. If there were owners, there are a few owners out there that have complained, they have horizon tilt, but now this horizon tilt thing is getting carried away because you heard about it on the Mavic 3. Now I'm hearing about it on the Nano Plus. I mean, when is it going to stop? You keep breathing, you keep blowing air on a little fire. Guess what? It's going to get bigger.
Well, it's quite a big thing. I honestly think that the horizon tilt is a big thing. I really think it's a big thing, because if you are getting certain shots, if you are, if you want to save as much time in post, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to the rule of thirds. When it comes to rule of thirds, I'm a bit of a let's say perfectionist there. So when it comes to horizon tilt, that would really get me.
I understand what you're saying. Well, you know what, I'm curious to know about it, because like when you hear about it in one drone is one thing, but now when you hear it cross over to another manufacturer, I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the fact that a camera is a camera is a camera, and a drone is a drone is a drone. So when there are so many similarities in the programming and software in no matter whose drone it is, that may be conflicting with one another and something, I'm not an expert in the field, but I am an electrician, and I know that there are certain things that just don't work well together, and maybe it could be something in there that's causing, that could be causing this from, like I said, from drone to drone.
Certainly from a development point of view, I've always been involved with development processes, and I've been working closely with developers over the years. I know for a fact that, when you have a problem and you fix that problem, it can create another problem. One thing that you fix can then lead on to something else which needs to be fixed, and then so on and so on. And that is, it's kind of normal, and let's say, unfortunately, it's kind of normal. And I think that we've been spoiled with DJI over the years, from the Phantom 3, Phantom 4 to the Mavic Pro, Mavic Air, Mavic 2 Pro. These have been pretty much flawless, and in terms of the stability of the software, because it's usually been quite good. And when you spot a problem, it was fixed almost immediately. I remember it was always fixed. I remember I found a problem with the Mavic Pro when I got it. It was a problem with the RAW files, and there was a line through the RAW file, and then below it wasn't processed properly. And then when I sent a ticket back to DJI, it was literally fixed within about 2 weeks. It was done pretty quickly, actually. So, but now, I also think that the DJI Fly app is just so trash. It's one of the worst applications DJI. In fact, is the worst application. Sorry?
I like how you put it. It's so bad. It's trash.
Yeah, it's
because they backdoored a whole lot of things, and it's just I don't think it was thought out well for growth. Because if you were going with this app for growth, then you would have evolved the Go 4 app, and you didn't do that. You dumbed it down to spoon feed it back by. Yeah,
I think that's a good point, Lawrence. It is dumbed down, and I think that it is dumbed down. I always, when I go back to when I go back and fly the Phantom 4 or the Mavic 2 Pro, it's like being with an old friend again. It's like meeting an old friend, and you just, you're in your comfort zone, if you know what I mean. But then, as much as I love as much as I love the Mini 2, as much as I like, the Air 2, Air 2S, I hate that Fly app. I really honestly hate it.
I personally think that they would be much better drones if they want a better app. But we've had that conversation 101 times over. And
many times we have.
It's just crazy. We've had discussion after discussion. Hey, Max, what's up, man?
And you could talk until you're blue in the face. If you want to fly DJI equipment, guess what? The app you're going to have to use, the Fly app. Yeah. I mean, I still have the option of my Mavic Pro and my Phantom 4 Pro of using the Go 4 app. So I don't mind every now and then if I want to trip down memory lane, I'll pull out my Mavic Pro and be like, this is what it feels like. You understand? And Rob C says I asked him, are you happy with your Mavic 3? He says he hasn't. I noticed this across all of my DJI products. The images need to be color corrected because they tend to be yellow. Depending on the drone, Rob. Hey, View Chaser, what's up? Welcome. Depending on the drone, I notice as of lately, DJI drone's color format is a little warmer than it usually is. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yellow.
But that's what he means by being yellow, by it being the pictures being a little warmer than they usually are. And I've noticed that with my Air 2S.
Okay.
I have noticed that with my Air 2S.
That's in the normal color profile, correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
and you can
Because
and you can alter that in the white balance as well.
right, but if you look from when they dropped the Mini, I said this before, and they got a little bit more contrasty than they did before, than they ever were before.
Hey,
The
Mike.
image is a little bit warmer than they were from if you know from the higher level cameras of say like the Phantom. The pictures in the Phantom are much cooler than the shots that you would get from this series that's going from the time they went with the Hasselblad in the Mavic 2. And
Welcome, Chris.
as you go on, hey Chris, what's good, man? As you go on, you notice they get warmer and warmer and more contrast. You know, that's what when I showed the images difference with the Phantom and the Air 2S, you notice that the Phantom shots are a little bit more cooler, and in post editing, you have the room to play around with both of them as much, but with this, at the same time, when you start going into shooting them in the true color, more people would tend to stay towards say something like the Air the 2S because the Phantom shots were a lot cooler.
Right.
Whereas that everyone that flew the Phantom never shot that thing in true color. And if you did, you didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Gary says the Fly app makes me feel like I'm struggling with the toy. I go back to my original Mavic Air just for fun. Go 4 is much better. Yeah. We've argued that 1,000 times over, but unless it goes back into DJI's ears, or unless they come up with a new drone altogether, and they come up with a Go 5, or even name it something else, we are going to have these disparities in operating systems. I'm not trying to word it properly.
You know what it is for me when they talk about the apps. I rather be looking at it than to be looking for it when I need it. And that's the bottom line when it comes to those apps.
You see what Interactive DNA put in the chat there? Of course, I get an alert, right?
People should
I'm about to read it. It says, people should not worry about colors. Just film a gray card and you will get it right. Colors every time on any drone. Always do a max white balance. Always. I agree with that.
I do that. I don't use the gray card, but I always alter my white balance to make sure that I get the right tone. And again, this is all I like to do this in manual. And again, doing this in manual, and you do this on the Fly app, it's just horrible because you go down and you press that whole section, and you always get the wrong one because when you press it, you go and it's just the most. It's the worst user experience. It's literally the worst user experience.
And touching, and you're trying to get it to operate the way you want it to operate. Please stop touching and give me the ability to put the damn number or set the thing in the way I want to set it in, or be precise with that dial. All the touching and touching and touching and touching and touching and touching. You still can't get what you want to come up on the screen and sit there properly. And all of the damn touching and touching, and I hate that app. It's just the touching and the touching and the constant touching of the screen, and the touching and touching is sickening.
It's what you call. Have you done what they call fat fingering? You go to hit the white balance and it hits something else, or
fingers. I'm total fat fingers.
Herman calls it fat fingering.
I got that from Tom.
Yeah, I definitely suffer from fat fingers, but it takes me 3 times as long to write a text message these days, because of that. But one, if I can just finish off this by saying that DJI need to have a user experience they need to have user experience workshops and be really honest and listen to these people. Not just put something out because they like it, because that's the impression I get. I get the impression that DJI they have a piece of software and they put it out, rather than having user experience workshops where people are sitting there going, this is not working, this is not good, or this works, but it's China.
No, you know what, you're right, but I think what they do is they listen to like stuff like this, and once it's passed around, I said to and I will always uphold what I had on this. If you want something to pass around this drone community, put it out there as a rumor.
Yeah,
it'll pass around with no problem. Or if you want something that you want everybody to do, put it out there as a rumor. Hey, Roger, what's up?
Roger, what's up?
Hey, Jay,
Santiago.
What's up? Jay in Santiago, man. How you feeling, man?
Hi, Jay. How you doing?
No, but yeah, that's you right on that, Stephen. Maybe they should try something like that. Might serve them a world of good.
Yeah. For sure it would. I could agree with that. Just the Fly app won't work with my iPad Mini 4. Less features and needs more processing power.
Here we go. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're flying with the tablet, and you're flying with the regular control, and you need to use a tablet, if you can, and I'm not telling anybody how to spend their money, but if you can, get yourself that triple tech tablet. Now, right now, it's probably better than going to your carrier and getting one of these glass tablets that you're afraid to have that thing scratched up out in the field and stuff like that.
But that's quite odd. Gary from Brand Aerials, he's saying that the iPad Mini 4 that doesn't work, and that's not acceptable. That's just not acceptable at all. That's not acceptable. We shouldn't have to be chopping and changing or wondering which devices will work or won't work. They should just work. They should just down with it. By the way, I will be on Brand Aerials tomorrow morning. Or is it tonight? I can't quite remember what it is.
It's tonight your time, tomorrow morning our time here in the States.
I agree with you.
When I'm going to bed, you'll still be up planning and going live.
I'll still be up, but I'll be on Brand Aerials tomorrow.
I agree with
tonight or whatever the hour before TNL. So
that's cool. That's cool. Go by and we got to go by and support them. If I have access at the time, I have to upgrade my iPad to downgrade to the Fly.
I agree with you on that about these devices, but the problem is that the manufacturers make them, and they're only limited to a certain amount that these processors and stuff in these tablets can actually handle. Even these phones, like I had a phone that could run the Fly app, but here's why I wouldn't use it. Because it didn't run the Go 4 app well. And I got into a tablet because that phone didn't run the Go 4 app well. Plus, it was a bigger viewing screen, and with a bigger viewing screen, like I always say, the bigger the eye, the better the see. So if you got a bigger viewing screen, then you can see better, especially from what it's showing you in the camera. But regardless.
Was this an Android? Was this an Android?
Hey, Stephen, Gary says 24 and a half hours from now.
Yes. After a certain point, because I switched over to the Nvidia Shield, and after a few updates, after a few years, she reached her limit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's not going to carry the Fly app with the way these apps and all this new stuff that they're doing and optimizing things and the way things need to run. It needs to run on a better processor. So I have a couple of tablets. I had the Triple Tech tablet, but because I have a tablet from my carrier that works, and I have the RC Pro and the smart controller, I didn't see the need to have that thing sitting around here for just in case I wanted to use a regular controller. You know what I mean? So I got rid of it, and I'm good with what I got. But you know, I recommend it if anybody can afford to get it. It's, you know, they can spend money.
I'm very interested to see how the RC Pro actually performs. So I'm hoping when I get home in March, I hope when I get home then that they fix the Mavic 3, that all these issues are fixed. They need to do that quickly.
Well,
otherwise this is a failed product.
You mean as far as the problems that guys are saying that they're having with it cutting out? Okay.
Yeah, that's a very serious issue. That is a very serious issue.
Let me say this, because I have both. I have the Mavic 3 and I have the RC Pro. And before I got the RC Pro, I had the Mavic 3 and I took it out a few times. I took it out, I set it up and everything, and I did the calibrations. I did not fly it very far or much at all, and I took it to Rhode Island to really fly it when I took it to Rhode Island. And when I went up, it did some kind of funny thing where it moved to its right. It shifted to its right because it was facing me. Didn't make a big deal out of it. I flew it down the parking lot, and when I came back down the parking lot, it did something else a little funny, brought it back down, and I was noticing that there was an issue with the auxiliary lights when you land and stuff like that. Wasn't on, so I took it back, and I got another one, and that is the one that I've been using ever since. And the one I used for the videos that I did on it, that was what I used to evaluate for all those videos. So, when it comes to that, honestly, I have not had the issues that some people are saying that they have as far as the disconnect.
But you shouldn't have had those issues in the first place. I do agree with what you've done. Doing what I do right now, okay, you know the job that I'm here doing. If we had those same issues, those drones would come out, and we would take those drones out the fleet, and they would be in the back, and they wouldn't go back up. But you've done the right thing. But that should not have happened. Think about what we have been, used to. All my drones that I've had over the years, I've had no issues with them out the box. No issues. They fly.
You know what? You're right, and you know what? We can go far back as to the beginning of the Mavic stage. We've had Mavics fall out of the sky. We've had a lot of things, and this is like, when guys, and I said this I think last week or the week before, and we keep pressuring and pressuring and pressuring for better batteries. That only has shown, history has shown that only causes fire.
Agreed.
Pushing the technology to move faster than it can has always shown failure.
Will force people to put out garbage. But really quick,
and that's in every industry.
Copper State asked you a question a while back.
I saw that. As far as the smart controller is concerned, I live in congested New York City. The smart controller worked fine until there's traffic. Then the smart controller has her issues, just like anything else. For what I've used it for, it worked fine for me. It worked well when I was in Rhode Island. I had no issues with it. Like I said, only when I was in a congested area out here where we had a heliport and some other things going on in the area where I had some issues. But other than that, pretty good. I mean,
but radio issues, you know, if you're using dual band, if you're using 2.4 or 5, then it should be fine. You know,
right. That's what
I do. But of course, again, you know, we have the 5G issue now. So if we can slide into that a little bit right now. So you have this 5G issue in the States, right? Probably read about it, you know. That does have an issue. That is having an issue with the radio frequency. And
they say that it's 200 megahertz below the airplane transponder frequency. And I see that as being an issue, because that's basically them saying, okay, we created this 5G network. It's going to be at this frequency. And they didn't take into account what other entities operate in and around that frequency number.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I mean, I'm going to slightly talk about, I'll slightly give you a bit of experience about what I'm doing, right? And how that, you know, and my experience from, let's say, radio frequency. You know, everything can affect you. Everything can affect you. This can affect your radio frequency. You having the Wi-Fi on your phone can affect the radio frequency. You being next to, you being next to a telecom tower. If you're flying next to these telecom towers, there are lots of frequencies, especially with the 5G. You get a lot of frequencies on the lower side, especially on 2.4. You're getting a lot of frequencies there, and that is having an effect on communication.
Now, Stephen, you know, when you say that, I've realized that back when I was flying the Phantom 3 Standard, how my phone, my earpiece, a lot of things, even my keys, a lot of things would interfere with it. So I would strip down in the park before flying this thing, because a lot of things interfere with it. Even though you needed to get the Wi-Fi signal, you used your phone. It was weird.
We have. I sometimes have a strict policy where I tell everyone to turn off the Wi-Fi when we're on drone operations.
Smart. You shouldn't have your phones on anyway. No distractions. If you're on a crew, it's the job and only the job.
Yeah, but see, Lawrence, here's the thing: you need, like, if you're flying with these apps and stuff like that, if you want real-time maps and stuff like that,
you need to be on the network.
And what they want us to do now is to be on that internet network all the time now anyway. So you can't get around that. And for the smart controller and the RC Pro, unless you're caching maps, just like with your tablet and stuff like that, for real-time maps, you have to be connected.
Well, let me just say that, you know, I have the ability to see radio frequency. Okay, so with what I do, I have the ability to see radio frequency, and I can see if there's any interference. And let's say I might have someone, more so over the past while, I may have someone who is a radio frequency expert who comes from maybe the government side or come from the network side, and they'll have these spectrum analysis, which is like a spade. So it comes down like a spade, and it's got a handle, and then they have their laptop or a special computer that they have, and we can see things, and then they will go and find it, and then whatever it is, they go and switch off, and then it goes away. So it can be anything from like a telephone tower, like a telecom tower. It can be a Wi-Fi modem. It can be a Wi-Fi router on the wrong frequency. It can be on the wrong frequency. You change the frequency, this thing goes away. And this is how
Wow.
you have the communication. So when you're having that dropout that you were saying there, Herman, when you're having that dropout, I can guarantee it's a radio frequency thing. Now, it could well be that the RC Pro isn't configured properly. It could well be that it's not configured properly. It could well be that the software is not configured properly.
Well, I have no problems with it now. I see a lot of people complaining about it, but before I got the RC Pro, I had that with the regular controller and the tablet when I set up the first drone. By the time I got the next one, the RC Pro was here, and I've been flying with that ever since, and I have had no problems.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that she kept running from me when I first flew it on a hand catch.
Yeah, I think that this story, I think this will continue. I think we will, I think we haven't had the last of it. It will continue for a while. I would like to hear from DJI that they would actually just come out and admit that there's something wrong. I would like to hear them come out and say, look, we have a problem here. Because there are more complaints than anything else. You're seeing people send these things back. We have an expectation after the Mavic 2 Pro. We have an expectation. And we've all been waiting for this Mavic 3. We've all been waiting for it.
True.
And it's been nothing more than a disappointment. Yes, the camera is really good on it, but if you don't have radio communication, that you basically have a weapon in the sky.
Rigor Mortis had made a statement earlier that I was trying to keep it on the screen, where it says the laziness of the software industry is making its way to other areas. Just patch it later. We need to profit now.
Well, how many times have you heard me say this, Lawrence? And before I even met you, I complained to my cousin about this with the video games. And I've always asked him, I said, how do you continue to buy that shit, knowing that they don't care about you or have any respect for you? They continue to put out stuff before it's finished just to meet the release date. And that's all they care about, is making that release date.
Yeah.
And I said this in one of my videos when we did the video there at the park. I said this, some of these companies get so big and we tend to have such a love for the product that we will accept it from certain people and not from the other guy. And Autel did this, they'd be crucified. Had Parrot done this? Oh, we wrote Parrot off already, but had Parrot done this, they couldn't come back. That's why it was great for them to join the Blue UAS list.
Right.
I mean, it's rough, but DJI could do this and they'll get away with it.
Yeah,
and there are people who are
I think you're absolutely right.
But how many people are dissatisfied with it?
Rigor Mortis says cellular 5G is not the same as the 39 gigahertz 5G that is rolling out. I have massive reservations about the 39 gigahertz 5G.
Okay.
It's still on the low side.
Well, you know what?
That.
It's still out there. I don't know. I mean, they were complaining at the airports and worrying about the altimeters and stuff.
That's what I was going to mention. All they've been talking about is today is a launch day between AT&T and Verizon launching their international 5G network. And all the airports are requesting is that you create a 2 to 3 mile buffer around the airports. If you know this 5G network is going to affect altimeters on planes, one of two things need to happen.
How does Sprint and T-Mobile do it? Or they're not on that.
They're not on that level. They're not international yet. AT&T and Verizon are going international with their launch. But the point I'm making is one of the two has to break. Either the creators of 5G, which they didn't care, they just put up a bunch of 5G relay networks, Stephen, all over New York. I don't know about other states, but all over New York, they came through with cherry picker trucks, and every block and a half to 2 blocks, they're putting these 5G network antennas and they're activating them. Hey, what's up, Big Matt? But the point I'm making is you need to either raise or lower the 5G network frequency, or the altimeters in all of the planes raise or lower the frequency to separate it from that 200 megahertz difference. If you fly FPV, there are 8 channels. There are 8 common channels in FPV.
Mm-hmm.
One of those channels is actually close to the EMS emergency signals frequencies here in New York. Okay, but neither one will budge. Hey, Travel with Rosies, neither one will budge on changing those frequencies.
All right.
And this is the issue that we're having right now. 5G is saying, look, we're launching, okay, the aviation field or area, they're saying, look, we are going to have problems with our planes, especially landing, flying low over areas using our instruments in a fog or in a storm. We need this. And they're just asking for a 2 to 3 mile buffer around airports. I don't see what the problem is.
Well, I think it was to get to make sure they get what, true altimeter reading?
Yes. Because when they're worried about using the altimeter, if you're at 30,000 feet, it's not as important because 5G network is not at 30,000 feet. But as you pass that bubble above society, that Wi-Fi bubble that's above everything, Wi-Fi, this network, that network, you know what I'm talking about, Stephen. There's a layer of Wi-Fi noise, electronic noise, radio noise after a certain height. Anything under 90 feet, I think it is, or something like that, there's a lot of freaking noise. And all they're asking is to move this perimeter back away from airports.
I call it interference. I call it interference.
I was trying to find something that
it's one of my biggest enemies. It's one of my biggest enemies. I'm always looking for interference. I'm all, and that will stop us flying. If we have interference, I mean, we won't fly. So we have guidelines. We have ways that we can check, and interference is you can also call it jamming. Jamming is another word as well, but I tend to call it interference. Jamming is done on purpose. Interference is not on purpose. It's just inadvertent. So but it's something I deal with a lot. It's something I work with all the time.
Yeah, you were mentioning that to me at one time. Because I was talking to you one time, and when I should have been asleep and you were working, and we had a conversation back and forth, and I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I'm at work with Stephen.
Yeah, frequencies and I mean, a lot of people will probably have had frequency issues, but they don't know it. The drone will suddenly behave, a bit oddly.
Yes.
And you won't know it, but it probably, I would say 99% it will be frequency issues. You just don't, you don't have the ability to see the interference as you fly. That is the issue. But if anyone out there has the ability if you have access to a spectrum analyzer, go and fly and get a spectrum analyzer. Have someone with, because the person has to be qualified. The person really must know how to use it, and they're always extremely clever. But look at the amount of let's say frequency disruptions that are in your area, and you'll be really surprised. And even just switching on things like Bluetooth, switching on the Wi-Fi, and you'll see the frequency thing going a bit, it will go a bit nuts. So all these things have an effect. House Wi-Fi, all that. You'll be really surprised.
Actually, you're right, because talking about that, there's a couple of things that I've heard in reference to that, there was a cruise ship industry that had wanted to use Wi-Fi and the jammers and stuff like that for their ships.
Right, around their ships.
And the FAA kiboshed that because it could interfere with a lot of other things. There was there's a few things I've heard out there about that, but you know,
I actually potentially will have that issue soon with ships.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because
that's
when
why guys, it's not to cut you off. Guys fly around them here in the city. They take a real big chance. Yeah. It's. Hey, Ray, what's up, man?
I think it's to do with the ships when they move. They don't want to be seen, so they want to move position, and they don't want it to show up. So they are using frequency jammers, and that can have an effect. I've heard, you know, but this is new. I mean, this is nothing. You know, this is not a secret. You know, you go and read about it, you know.
But could you imagine, Stephen, like we here in New York Harbor, we have cruise ships coming in, we have container ships coming in internationally. And New York Harbor is one of those places like Tokyo Harbor. There's constant traffic. Could you imagine how drone pilots would feel if they fly out? And here we catch cruise ships. We know what day they leave the city to go down to the islands. We have their schedules and everything. But I could imagine what would happen if they allowed these cruise ships to have jammers on them, and people are flying out to get pictures of these cruise ships, and their drones are just dropping and going in to return to home. And
it would stop doing it.
It would be mad.
You need to be very, very, very careful around these ships.
They would stop doing it.
I've not had experience myself, to be honest with you, but I know, I just know when the ships are coming in, when they're moving, especially when they get into port, they can use a lot of jamming, and that will have an effect on your drone. It for sure will have an effect on your drone because, and you might think it's a distance thing, maybe it's too far out, or it's a battery issue or something, but no, but people don't tend to go down that route of I'm being jammed, you know, because they don't see themselves as being, you know.
Why would anyone jam me?
Yeah.
Well, let's think about it.
Or I've been flying in this area for years. Why would anyone jam that area?
Well, you know what it is too, Lawrence? I think here a lot of guys catch them before they get to that point. You know what I mean? It makes it a lot easier to get it.
And by the way, if you are being jammed on purpose, you will know it. You will know you're being jammed because you will most likely not get your drone back.
Yeah.
It will behave. You will lose radio frequency. It will just completely vanish. You know, you'll have massive.
Your screen will go black, and that'll be all. You'll be sitting there waiting for or praying that it went into return to home, and
it's a very deep. A lot of these, weapons, if you want to call them weapons or devices, they are extremely powerful. They are very powerful, and they're working on all different frequencies.
Oh, yeah.
And they will, put it this way: if you're standing next to it, you should be wearing lead underwear.
you mean copper?
Yeah. But again, it's something for the drone community to be aware of because they actually don't know that. I have experience of this. I have some very unique experience of this. These things will take down your drones. They will take it down. I've not had my drones taken down, my own drones. I've not had them taken down. So, but I've seen what they can do and the power of these things.
On some of them. We did a few reports on some of them, like from lasers to handheld guns to machines that like robot or something that wants to take something out of the sky. We've done a couple of studies on them. But we had
The-
we had a couple of stories we wanted to talk about tonight that we wanted to get to. You know, one of them was this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Vetal drones, but actually, what they claim to do is they're trying to copy the success that Wingtra had. You know, they have a very similar craft, but Vetal was at CES in Las Vegas this year, and they took pre-orders on this drone from last year, and they're claiming that this drone is in the hand of you know, premier industry clients. And the beauty of this drone, I guess, like I said, it's very similar to the one that that Wingtra has, where they both sit on its tail wing like that, and has a stabilizer. They have vertical takeoff, and they fly like a regular fixed wing drone or plane. Now, this one has slightly larger wingspan than the Wingtra's drone. You know, I think this one comes in somewhere like 4.265 feet on the wingspan. And I believe the weight on it was like, the weight on this thing is 8.3 pounds.
Okay, so it has some girth to it.
Yeah, but the payload,
the fixed wing needs some solidness.
But you see, the thing is, what I thought was real interesting is that one of the things that they pride themselves on with this drone is the ability to adapt to other payloads, but the payload capability is very limited. It's slightly under 2 pounds of what they can carry on a payload.
I want to point out something. Watch this approach. This is the Wingstra coming in for a landing. Now, obviously, the software works.
You're showing the Vetal or the Wing?
Yes, the Vetal. It's abrupt, but for a fixed wing switching to vertical mode, I guess it's not. This thing is 8 pounds coming to a stop in the air like that. Now, I'm guessing it works because this thing is faster than the Wingstra, which I'm going to show a video of also.
Well, to tell you the truth, I find that if in the commercial space, maybe a lot of these fixed wings might be the future because they have longer flying capability. You know,
that's what they're trying to explain, Herman.
Yeah, most people who are even using hybrids.
This is what they copied, the Wingstra, after 6 years in development. And the Vita, which we just saw, is actually a little bit wider and longer than this one. But this is Gen 2 of the Wingstra. This one has multiple payloads. That little circle you saw in the middle can actually hold cameras, different size cameras,
we actually featured this camera. Not the camera, but this drone on one of the shows that we did. But both of them pride themselves on the ability to use different payloads.
Yeah,
I believe that this one the one they were using here was a Sony sensor.
Yeah,
Samyang. Yeah, Samyang. They do lenses. They just specialize in lenses. I have one Samyang lens. I have a wide angle Samyang, a 14 millimeter Samyang lens, but that was a 12 millimeter Samyang lens on there. And I've never seen Samyang making cameras for. But I mean, obviously, it could be a Sony sensor that's in there. I mean, it could be a Sony sensor, but the lens is Samyang, because it just showed there in the video. So, which I think is quite interesting to see Samyang push into there, and you might see more and more people, more and more companies pushing themselves into the drone industry because it has potential. There is a market there. So getting the best out of it. Let's see what happens. It's always nice to see good eVTOLs there, and that certainly looks like a nice product, actually.
I thought so. I mean,
it is a nice. Yeah.
Well, they say imitation is the best flattery, and this VTOL that they claim is so close to the Wingstra. I mean, obviously there are design differences, but the same Coast Guard orange that they use for their craft, the same vertical legs you use.
Both look like bats.
Right.
There are lots of different eVTOL designs out there that are very, very similar. There's actually lots of them. I would say, just off the top of my head, I would think of about 6 or 7 that are similar. There's one company in Finland, but they are making one, and it's grey. It's pretty much the same design. It's pretty much the same design.
Hey, Johnny Drone Flyer.
Johnny.
Well, it's good to see other technology because at one time, before I got into FPV, I was seriously considering fixed wings because I like the fact, I forget which one it was, but Xavier X Drone Factor brought one out here to where I live. We had a little mini meetup, and the fact that once you start this fixed wing, you just toss it in the air, and it's hands-free because it will hover around you in a circular pattern until you gain control of the sticks.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a very cool feature for a fixed wing because you can hit return home, and once it returns home, it'll hover until you land it or tell it what to do. And I just thought that was a cool feature.
That wasn't the Parrot, was it?
I think so. The Parrot Disco.
Yeah,
I think it is. Yes, the Parrot Disco. You can launch it with one hand. It will climb to a predetermined altitude, and until you touch the controllers, it'll just circle around you at a certain altitude.
Okay.
Without a problem. I thought that was pretty cool about fixed wings, and then I started seeing long range fixed wing, and I'm like, you know what? That's not for me.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't get into it
because in the space that it takes a 4 foot or a 3 foot fixed wing to sit in, you could probably put about 6 racing drones on the wall.
Okay.
That was my logic. Hey, Maddie's World, what's up?
In the garage.
Huh?
Put it out in the garage.
Yeah, well,
that's like everything else. Move it off the shelf.
You hear him, Stephen? Put it in a garage. Well, when I get a garage, it'll probably won't be a garage.
We just keep moving things over.
Take it easy, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Make room for the next episode.
So yes, we are still coming to the Second Annual South Florida.
I ain't coming,
Ray. Herman says he's not coming.
Not unless I get a rental car.
Oh, see, yeah, he did mention that. He did mention it, and don't type Enterprise in the chat. Enterprise cars, some of them, I've been in a few.
No, but
they're not too clean inside.
It's funny we were talking about the Phantom. Oh, so why I said Phantom? The Mavic 3, but moving along with the topic and talking about the Mavic 3, it's interesting because I saw a podcast the other day and they were talking about drones.
Hey, show.
In 2022 and what you expect to see. And it turned out to be a conversation of what do you think DJI is putting out for 2022. But it always seems like that is the case. But so far what we do know is that we did get, the Evo, was that they had the Nano and the Light series, and we got a new Skydio series or the 2 Plus or whatever. And we got that for the new year, and I guess you could kind of say like the Mavic 3 is Slido. It came in at Christmas time, so it moves on to the new year. But some of the conversations I hear about going on nowadays, they're talking about you know, Autel coming out with a Evo 3, and we also heard about that we talked about the Nest setup that they were starting to make noise with. But what's coming? I've heard things talk about the Mini 3, and guys want to see the Mini. Is it ready? Are we ready for the Mini 3 yet, or guys still haven't gotten tired of the Mini 2? I don't know, what do you guys think?
The Osita 55 or Osita LV on Twitter already has a diagram for a Mini 3. So I'm not saying, but even more so, there's talk of an Inspire 3, and I hate to say it because they've already made it clear that body design, a cookie cutter body design of the Phantom, was gone. But then again, you never did see it in writing, so who knows with DJI. But there's talk of an Inspire 3 and a Phantom 5, Herman.
Well, what I was asking you is what you guys thought about
the Phantom 5.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm saying as far as
Stephen cringing.
What happened?
I think Stephen was like cringing.
As much as I love my Phantom 4, it's just a classic drone, as we say. It's one of the, it's like old faithful. I can't see DJI going back to that design. It's not a step forward; it's a step back for them. They would need to have a very, very good reason to go back to that design. The Mavic design is so much more functional. It's easier to use. I don't fancy carrying a Phantom 5 around unless they have a newer design and unless there's some functional design around it.
Well, you know what?
Big Matt says guys just want stuff to come out to hate it.
I understand exactly where you're coming from, Steven. And I agree with you to an extent, because for what, and this is going back to, like I said, with all of the conversations that we had here. And I know about what we had here. Forget about what happened on other channels, or this other, for the conversations that we've had here, and some of the things that guys wanted with this Mavic series.
I'll be right back.
The only way you were going to get that was for something like an Inspire series, and the only thing that could carry something of that nature in a smaller form factor was the Phantom body that DJI had. So when you look at a company like what X Dynamics has done, they've taken that Micro Four Thirds, a true Micro Four Thirds camera, and put it into a smaller form factor than what the Inspire was, and something roughly around the range of where the Phantom was. That would be the only way we were going to see these interchangeable cameras, interchangeable lenses on a drone of that size, because for the Mavic series, it's not ready yet.
No, because you don't have the center of gravity,
right?
Like you do on the Phantom series. Not like you have on the Inspire, but the Inspire is a big drone, so it has the ability to carry more. But again, the weight of it does have the ability, as a proven workhorse. So it's fine. I think we do expect too much from the Mavic. I think
that about as much the whole series.
Yeah. As much as I, again, just reiterate, I love my Phantom 4. I think that the Mavic 2 Pro is one of the best drones out there in terms of image quality, functionality. I think after that, the Mavic Air 2S comes very, very close. Doesn't have the variable aperture, so to me, it's a little bit.
Right.
But it's still a very, 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 very good drone. Are we expecting too much? Is it too much to expect?
I think so. And I tell you why I say this. And Lawrence can contest this. I said this to him one day. I said, I have the Mavic. I have the Mavic 3. It's supposed to be a Micro Four Thirds sensor. Now, I remember years ago, I might be dating myself with this one, and a lot of guys in the chat might be familiar with this. When we had graduations and stuff like that, everybody's parents came, they had the little box cameras. Those are 35 millimeter cameras. But you see the guy that was over in the corner taking the pictures, that the big lens interchangeable, that was 35 millimeters too. There's a certain level of quality to certain things, and in certain things it is what it is, and it is what it ain't. You know, and in spite of the fact that we might like the stuff that DJI has given us, a lot of it is a lot of hocus pocus, alakazam, kapoof. If not, then the cameras that we fly on these drones would be these little box cameras. Like I remember telling you about mom and dad catching the experience on a little snapshot box camera, as opposed to the professional with a camera with the lens, and he's sitting there and he's getting shots all over the place. It's a difference, but they're both 35 millimeter cameras. When back in the days of film, now we're moved on to digital, and we're using computers and a lot of hocus pocus, alakazam. That little camera with the itty bitty sensor like that is taking nice pictures. Whereas that if that camera had film in it, that picture would be of shit.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So I think it's a lot of things going on at one time that we're not looking at. And yeah, we may be asking a little bit too much, I think, from box cameras.
Yeah, and that's what these are. The Mini 2. The camera is. It's pretty bad. It's not great. I don't. I wouldn't use this as my main. This is my travel drone. This is the one I throw in the suitcase, and I'm happy to fly and get some footage. But it really has its limitations, and those limitations stop me from let's say using this a lot more seriously. And even still, even with the Mavic 2 Pro, even with the Phantom 4, the camera is still very limited. It's still very, very limited. It is much better than this. I take stock footage, I take photos, and I'll put them into stock footage, so I'll make money from my photos. I can't make money from this. I actually cannot make money from this because the image quality is so small, it doesn't meet the requirements set by the stock photo companies. So that just shows you the limitations of this kind of drone. It's my breakfast. My breakfast is coming.
Breakfast. Yeah, Lawrence, you're right, Lawrence. They did mention, an Inspire 3 and a Phantom 5. And it's funny that they mentioned that because when they released the Phantom 4 Pro was on the same day that they released the Inspire 2. So I mean, and it's funny, it came out 6 months after the release of the Phantom 4. So it'll be interesting. Are you muted, Lawrence? Or are you just talking to yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was talking. I was saying what I like about this article is when they're talking about the Inspire and Phantom 5, they're saying maybe even a combination of the two.
This is what me and Stephen were just talking about.
Right. Bringing the camera system and modularity of the Inspire with the Phantom's flight reliability and form factor.
Right. This is me and Stephen were talking about, because this is what X Dynamics went after. Trying to bring that Inspire feel down to a smaller form factor. The only thing that DJI had, without creating another class of drone or creating another drone period, was the Phantom series. Honestly, and I told you before, if we had gotten that Phantom 4 that we all saw, they said it was created for one of their customers, the one that had the interchangeable lenses.
Yeah.
Had you gotten that, it would have cost more than what we paid for the Mavic 3.
Oh, hell yeah.
It would have had to.
Yeah. Yes,
It
it would have
to
had
be
to.
near that.
Just the camera system, the gimbal system alone would have been the price of would have been quite extensive. I'm sorry, I was trying to comment at the same time. I had saw Steven's face while he was looking at his breakfast, and I was trying not to comment. But Steven, when you look at your breakfast, like, be afraid.
Well, it looks like
he's very afraid.
Every day when the food comes, I don't know what I'm getting. I have no idea.
It sounds like you have a cast iron stomach. You have to travel as much as you do.
We have today. I have is omelette with cheese and bread, hash browns, and a little bottle of milk, which is quite cute actually. A little bottle of milk. I'm not sure if it's soy milk or something, but a little bottle of milk. Every day I don't know what I'm going to get. If you remember last week, I had this elephant's foot thing. Remember, I had that yesterday. I couldn't eat it. So bad. So, every meal I get is a surprise. I have no clue what I'm going to get.
Because I saw your face when you looked at it. You were like, "Okay, where are we going with this?"
It is like that. Every day is a surprise.
So getting back to what I was saying, you must have to, in order to travel as much as you do, you have to have a cast iron stomach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because if you were soft inside, you'd be hurling every trip.
Yeah, I've been really lucky actually. I've been so lucky, because not only what I'm doing now, but also my other jobs as well. I've been traveling. I've literally been all over the world. I've been to almost every continent, all over Africa, all over South America, all over Middle East and Asia. And I've never had any issues. But when I was in Indonesia a couple of months ago there, we went out for dinner and we had an amazing meal, a really, really nice meal with one of our customers. And I got sick. I actually got really sick. And it's the first time ever I got sick. I've never been sick in my life when I've been, and I was literally in the hotel room for 3 days, and actually maybe 2 days. And I said to one of my pilots, I actually had to ask him to go to the pharmacy and get some Imodium.
Okay. Oh, I hear you.
Because we were flying the next morning. We were actually flying very, very early, and I said, no. We were flying that night. We were flying that night actually, but we were flying over to Papua. And I said, look, you need to go to a pharmacy and get me some Imodium. If you don't get Imodium, I'm not flying.
I'm glad to know it's international.
I'm staying here. I'm staying here. Thankfully, he got it, and everything was fine. Maybe that was too much information, but it was touch and go.
No, I'm interested to know these things because those guys is trying to add some travel into this year, and I'm very funny about certain things, and a friend of mine told me, he says, one thing you have to know about traveling, if you don't have a cast iron stomach, you're not going to go very far.
No, it's true. But you can be wise as well. I always carry food with me, like soups and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Even things like noodles.
So are you allowed to carry like powdered soups or? Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking a can would be a little suspect.
I have about 20 over there. About 20 sachets that is always a backup. It's always a backup, which is always good to have.
I gotta laugh at that.
Yeah,
I gotta laugh at that. Well, Stephen, Lawrence, you know how we always see these drones come up, and we see some, because we always talk about how this industry always comes from the hobbyists. The inventions, we talk about, aviation in itself, as we know in this world, started with, I guess the first flight with the Wright brothers. And when I first saw this thing, I just couldn't understand. And I said I would never fly this thing. I could never get into it. But it seems like it's almost sold out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Jetson 1. This could be a monumental year for the Swedish flying car developer Jetson, which plans to deliver the first series of these flying personal VTOL this year. So here's something that I didn't think would take off. And thinking about it, and you look at the design and the thing of where they flying it, I thought you would have showed the other video, which was a better video of it. But the funny part is that this thing here is taking off. They had made what happened was they had 100 of these things set to on the first order, and they're almost sold out on the pre-order on the first set, and then they announced, I believe, another set to be released of another batch of 100, and they got over 3,000 pre-orders in 1 month.
Yes.
For this thing.
Keep in mind, they're only putting out 100 this year. And
another 100 to be delivered next year.
Right, and 100 to be delivered next year. Now, what made this thing hot was the prior model to this one here, to this model that we see here, which was the first models we saw them getting airworthiness tests for and stuff. They sold those models. And people with the expectations of this version here, which, by the way, has obstacle avoidance and all kinds of crazy features in it that this story goes into.
Well, if you purchase this vehicle and the first generation of this vehicle, what you will be getting is what you see right here on the screen. Now, this thing has 8 electric motors, a top speed of 63 miles per hour, the maximum flight time of 20 minutes. Now, I hate to be the one to bust everyone's bubble, but pilots at no pilots to was it 210 but not above?
Yes.
can fly this thing. You will exceed its its weight limits. But if you're looking to pick one of these up, it's 92,000, and you have to have 22,000 down on order.
And you do not need a certificate to fly it,
because it is considered to be an ultralight vehicle.
Yes.
So there's no certificate to operate. Now, talking about its obstacle avoidance and its onboard LiDAR system assist obstacle avoidance with its triple redundancy flight computer, it is like I said, when I first saw this, I was like, would I ride it? Hell no. Looking at what they put together and the fact that it's got airworthiness, look out. We're in trouble.
You say that, Herman, because I was mentioning to you earlier that
I still think it's a death trap.
It operated like a helicopter. This left stick here is your thrust and your up and down, and the front stick here is your pitch and roll. And I'm guessing this is your LiDAR system up front here, but I said I would never get in one of these if I could fit my fat ass in one, but I don't pass the weight requirement, so that's a fat chance.
Here's why I wouldn't fly. Here's why I wouldn't fly in this thing. Why? You see the design of it, right? Let's talk about its safety. It's triple redundancy system, right? Now it's able to continue to fly even if it loses a motor. Let's go back to let's stop right there. Let's say it move. let's say it loses any one of those front left or right motors that could fly back into your face, your neck, your chest, your throat, anything. I mean,
you're talking about this.
Stop me when I'm wrong. Hopefully that roll cage
about right here.
Right. Hopefully that roll cage doesn't allow it to come back in there and get you.
I understand what you're saying because of the open canopy. We'll pause it right here. And I did think about that form factor. If they had,
that's just for me, but you know, it's past.
But hold on, I'm going to stop it at that frame. I'm going to tell you what it might have been, that they might want to cover up some design flaw errors right here.
Windscreen?
Like you're saying, if any of these upper blades or anything.
That's what I'm talking about, Lawrence.
There are no bars, safety bars coming down, but I guess they figure if it's going down, you're soup anyway.
Right.
The roller bar is supposed to protect you. What do you think?
It's not a car.
I think that this is going to be a regulation nightmare in the future. I think that the first person who tries to jump out of the cockpit is going to lose their legs, because those props are they will basically take your hand off.
Salad.
Yeah, and everything else down to the bone.
Yeah, I think that there's a reason why they're selling 100. I think there's a reason why, because if they get themselves into too much bother by selling too much, and then all of a sudden the regulators say this is not going to happen.
Right.
Yes, they are expensive. I think that the people who buy them, I'm hoping that they are aviation experienced, they are aviation minded.
And not some rich kid that wants one.
The guy with money.
Because you have the wrong person flying this thing.
The guy with money.
It's good night. It's good night, Irene. Because I think when I see this, I always think of the PlayStation game Wipeout. It's nice that it's really cool. It's nice, but in reality, is it really good? No, I honestly don't think so. You are going to be limited to. I think you'll be limited to where you fly. If you are in these Arab countries, then you can fly in the desert. You can do all that kind of stuff. That's great. And if you have an accident, you have an accident. Who cares? What happens in the desert stays in the desert. Trust me.
Well, you know what? Hopefully you know what? Never mind. But no, who knows who bought them? We don't know. I mean, they might all have been sent overseas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Who knows?
For sure.
All I know is that I saw.
But Herman, I don't see pulling up to an AMA airfield with one of these, like Calvert Vaux, where you do your review videos and stuff, at a park like that, and pulling this thing up with a trailer and offloading it and flying around for 20 minutes without the police, the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and everyone else coming in on you, thinking that it's.
They
tell you to get under the table and put your head between your legs. What are they saying?
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that
this is just a test.
This is just a test to let you know you are still under quarantine.
We have these
Mark Fisher, it has obstacle avoidance, so it won't let you get too close to the trees. But he says
the speeder?
And he would like to use it to trim his trees. But
what, the speeder?
No, Mark Fisher. Yeah,
I'm talking about he's talking about the Jetson 1.
Yes,
it mimics the those speeders from the Star Wars.
Okay, perfect example. Stephen, you see how your hair is now? After you got off that thing, you would have no hair.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. probably
What the
wouldn't
hell
have.
on?
These are great. It's great to innovate, and I'm sure that they are using this as a platform for the next level of air taxis. This is them probably just making money to fund something else.
Probably.
Because all of these air taxis, all this urban air mobility is, it's the new in thing. It's the buzzword for aviation at the moment, which is fine. Which I still think we're a long way off. I still cannot see air taxis being a thing for the next 5 years or something. But there's so much money getting put into it just now.
Yeah,
and I'm not too happy about that, because I would like to see it more going into the drone industry. And I fear that money going into something which is still not proven to be. I think it's a bit of
a industry.
But you see, no, I understand what you're saying, but it becomes the whole circle conversation. You know what I mean? This is the need for remote ID. This was the need for UTMs. This was because they want this, and they're spending a lot of money on this. And as much as we can look at where we are today and where we think we will be in the next 5 to 10 years, we're saying no, because we all watch, like the name Jetson. We all watched the Jetsons as kids, and we were told that we were going to be there someday. We're not there yet. We're still crying and complaining about fossil fuels, and then the argument becomes, how much fossil fuels does it take to create your electric thing? But
that's kind of a double.
Everything is just a revolving conversation, and it's like, when where do we find that one space to talk about something that we gave it birth, and it can just be in its own space? It's always a revolving conversation. So that we talked before about living on an island, you can't live on an island, and nothing's on an island. Nothing stems from nothing. Everything on this planet, every living thing, gives the next generation something else to strive forth and be stronger.
True.
So I don't know. That's just me spewing what's on my mind. I mean, who knows?
But the industry is moving so fast. Every day there's something new. Every day there's a new idea. There's a new development. There's more funding going in. And I think I've said this before, that I fear about the funding. The funding, I think, is an issue, because if these venture capitalists don't get their investment back, then I think that that doesn't look good for the industry. Sure. So when something fails, but however, there has been, especially with this urban air mobility, there's been a lot of research. There's stuff going on. I know companies in Finland. I've got friends who are working in this sector, so they are involved in these air taxis.
Okay, Ray.
So it isn't nothing new. Thanks, Ray. I know these guys who are involved in these, and they're really good at what they do, and they're trying to justify. They're working in there to justify this, to help with the research and stuff. But still, you see all these air taxis. No one's flying in them. No one's flying in them. All these demonstrations that go. I think there was one in Indonesia, actually. There was one in Jakarta a couple of months ago where apparently the person was flying in it. I thought that the camera work was a bit questionable. It looked like the person was in it. I don't know if the person really was in it, but they were stating that they were in it. And this is good for investors. It's good to show the investors that there's people in it, but were they really in it? And I know that the Indonesian,
was it CGI or just
not really CGI, but just clever camera work. It wasn't CGI. It was clever. It was clever camera work. because I do know that the Indonesian Aviation Authority, they are really strict. They are super strict.
Okay.
Very strict. But I don't know. Just, I'm a very skeptical person. I don't believe everything I see. So let's see.
I'm skeptical when it comes to certain things. It's you pretty much have to show me that something works before I can go for stuff. But there used to be a time you'd say, "Hey, if we can get up $1 million, we can start this business." Now you have to show me everything before investing anything.
Yeah. And of course, it's all down to chance. It's all down to having the right people, having the right technology. If you do your due diligence, and if you do it well, everything will be okay. Getting back to when we started the Flyby, guys, thinking where we are now and what we are doing. I never would have dreamed we would be in this position this far down the line.
Right.
Given it where we started.
Right.
We wanted to fly. I'm sitting here in Taiwan and day 12 or day 30, and it's like it's still insane thinking where we are and what we're doing. And it's like, if you do it right, if you do things properly, it's possible. It is possible. So
okay. We mentioned earlier about that product that we talked about last week from Autel, the Nest. And we talked in the past about systems like Percepto and the drone in the box system. Now I've saw an article and I've seen some things on drones at the port of Hamburg, and HHLA Sky partnering it for an intelligent port. They will soon be working to have more drones at the port, but in this partnership, basically I guess what they're looking to have the adaptation of both flying, floating, and robots on the ground for, I guess, the logistics, I guess, with the security purpose of the port. Right. And there's a lot of things that can operate there. Like I said, we talked about Percepto and how they would secure ports and they could secure some of these facilities and stuff like that. But now I'm looking here with this partnership, and they want to form a technological partnership, that would improve automated drones. So basically, they're talking about on the ground as well as in the air and water. What do you guys think of something like this?
Well, I can tell you something. I can tell you something very honestly here. We were in line to be working with this a few years ago. So this project in Hamburg it's been going on for 3 years now, or they've been talking about it. It's been in the plans for about three or 4 years, and we have been talking with a couple of other companies, for a consortium. Okay. And we would have been involved in this as well, actually. And the ideas were things like using drones to fly over the ships when they come in to test the emissions of the ships, because there's quite a lot of ships that come in.
I've heard of that.
Where they are causing a lot of pollution, and they wanted to stop ships coming in that are actually over polluting. And the way that they were going to combat is they were going to fly a drone over the ship as it was outside before it comes into the port,
Right.
get that data, send it back, and make an immediate analysis in order to say, yes, you can come into the port. That was just one of the ideas that they were going to use. And then there was the logistics side where the drone would be flying over and would be able to scan trucks, whatnot, knowing where they were, all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Things like that. There was so much. Hamburg wants to, Hamburg wants to be completely autonomous. They want to have a completely autonomous, infrastructure there. So it's but the reason why we didn't go on is that there was just things weren't moving fast enough for me. I like things to move a bit more quickly, and there was different funding stuff, and I thought,
some of this stuff I've heard of, and we've done reports on, like when they were using the camcopter to test emissions and sulfur and stuff like that from ships and stuff like that. I've heard of that already, and a lot of this stuff is more, and it's becoming more and more and more. You're seeing it redundant. It's one guy's starting to adapt a system that we've seen before used someplace else, and so the industry is growing. That we do know. And
my only part
still in the infant stage. Yeah.
My part of the story that I seem to like, and it for them to be fully autonomous, I don't see that happening for like 10 to 15 years, but they claim in the event of storm surges, accidents, or other unforeseeable disruptions, flying, floating, or self-driving robots can be on site considerably faster.
Right.
This I agree with, and provide high-resolution videos and pictures for exact overview of the situation. That would be the only way that I could possibly see. Now, like you mentioned, have a ship coming into port. And, of course, the containers are stacked in the way this be off-shipped. I could see a drone flying over the containers and scanning each box, telling the port control which containers need to come off, something like that. But full automation is a little scary right now. Well, I'm not ready for Skynet,
It is and it isn't, and I tell you why I say this, Lawrence. I worked in a warehouse. Let me get a little back. I have, since high school and graduating college, I went back into the electrical field. I've never worked for anyone else but Local 3. The companies that I've worked for, I worked for one company that went with a total system where the computer told you exactly how to do your work. And everything was supposed to be where the computer says that it is. The exact amount that the computer says is here is supposed to be here. When it's not, it's on the computer.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't transpire out into the field with installation and the building of buildings and stuff like that. No.
Yeah.
What with the whole automated system, it can be done in something like a port, because
keep talking.
It's all about the timing and movement of things, and there's a lot of man that has to be done as well, because right now the biggest problem with the ports right now and people moving their products out of there, and we're talking about supply chain demand issues.
Yeah,
is logistics. You not getting your shit out of the port in time or on a proper timely fashion, your ability to do that.
You're right.
That's what backs up the ports. But as far as it comes in, it's scanned, as opposed to somebody that is getting the information. There's a lot of work involved. We talk about world trade and stuff like that, and things that come in. My aunt worked for with world trade and getting paperwork coming in, and a lot of times stuff that came in the ports, it has to be transferred to another office, and the paperwork is going over, and okay, that matches up with this. Okay, it's good. It can move on to the next stage to go through customs and stuff like that. There's a lot of that involved. And if you're not on point with it, then you're just never going to be on point with it.
Hey, Stephen, Stephen had sent me a video really quick, and I wanted to show it because this is where we're trying to go in society. And I don't see all of this. I don't see all of this happening, but I do see where they're trying to go.
I'll just tell you a bit about this. So this is so you'll see that that the organization is Forum Virium Helsinki. This is the organization that we were doing the pharmaceutical delivery with. So this is the smart city side of Helsinki. Okay, so they do all the smart city projects, but they are part of the municipality. Now, I've done work for Helsinki City and they have had this vision of an automated, city. They want to have automation. That is their dream. They want to have, this, self-driving car in the park that will go and cut the grass, will lift up litter, will have a drone fly and scan. They want to check what the drone was doing there. Was that it was scanning the park benches, because they have a thing where they want to count park benches. For some reason, they want to document park benches. They've always had this for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
And but this is just an animation which shows you what they are planning, and they've had this. I've been talking with them, and they've had this vision for years, for 3-4 years. They want to have an automated city. They want to have self-driving, self-picking, self-flying, and I just thought I'd share it with you. Just
what? And all of that could work provided we don't have work from home.
It can be done from home anyway. So
no, but seriously, think about this. If we barcode every bench in the park, right, and we have an automated city, right, we could actually go into the park and find an empty bench.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just by going on an app and finding that empty bench in the park.
Yeah. It's true.
No one's sitting on it.
I'm sorry, but I booked it. I've got the QR code.
Hey, get off
I have that bench book from 1 to 2.
Get off my bench.
Excuse me, but I have the app.
Yeah.
And after 6 p.m., it becomes a bed for someone.
Not in Helsinki. We don't have homeless in Helsinki.
And we talk about this drone tech and all these advancements and stuff, and they just still can't, without getting political, still can't find a way to feed people who are hungry. That's all.
Yeah.
True.
People forget about that. People forget about it. They see the smoke and the whistles and drones.
No, they don't. It goes back to what I said to you before.
And the robots driving, using obstacle avoidance to avoid the homeless man on the corner.
Lawrence, the bottom line is this: how much money is in that? And it goes back down to what I said before. We will condemn each individual aspect of capitalism, but never in its hold.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Without getting political.
And that's why you have that problem.
Yeah, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's going to help you, but it's going to kill you.
Right. Hey.
It's like
deodorant.
Everything else. Yeah. But we're getting into politics now. That's that.
Well, see, I brought it back to deodorant. See, it's like deodorant. Deodorant will kill you, but but we don't want to be around you without
it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Could you imagine?
Yeah, if you listen to some of the stuff they have out there about deodorant.
I need to bring up a fact. We still, Brian LaTourette and the Michigan, hold on, but I need their organization. They still, Michigan Coalition of Drone Operators, MCDO, they still need support.
You put that link in the chat, Lawrence?
They are, yes, I put it in the chat there. From what I see, last week they were at about 1,500 before the live stream, and right now they are at about 2,500, 1,600.
Okay.
42 people have donated. That's 42 people that they did not have. Just saying, support the cause. Could happen in a town near you, especially here in the state.
Support the cause. A fight for one is a fight for us all.
Yes, because already here in the States, they're talking about how 19 states have, without getting political, have already changed it so that certain demographics can vote and certain demographics can't. And we don't want the same thing to happen with us in the drone community. That's all I'm stressing. You know, we need to support fellow drone pilots from other states as well as drone pilots here in the States.
Hey, listen.
Yep. You need to watch each other
back. If you stand by and watch it happen to the next guy, it could happen to you next.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But it is what it is.
Got to watch the next guy's back.
It is what it is. Wow. Time went by fast.
Yeah.
Having fun. Steven.
Yeah, well.
Is there any way you can get a box of crayons in the next 3 days?
No.
Because their walls behind you are really, really clean, bro.
A box of crayons is going to get Steven a nice hotel bill.
Yeah, that's true, unfortunately. But you're free in 3 days, man.
Yeah, but he's got to go to the next spot.
He's much closer.
But the next spot it's okay. I can go outside.
You can go outside. Right.
I'm free. I mean, I start work on Monday. I leave here. I leave here. I go and catch a train, go to the south of the island, and then I start work.
Okay. So you got to check in 14 to 15 days ahead of time into the country.
Before you do your job.
Wow.
Well, that's part of
come to the United States and come through Kennedy, and once you get outside to the yellow cab, just keep running.
Yeah, right.
That's what everybody else does.
Yeah.
They don't check back in with the United States until death.
Listen. Unless people are dying, you're coming into the States, bro.
Yeah,
you're coming. You can get off the plane, Stephen, coughing and hacking, and they will say, "Sir, I hope you enjoyed your flight."
Yellow cabs out that door right there to the left.
Yeah. If you walk outside here and start coughing, you'll have a street to yourself. Everyone.
Well, see, I'm seeing it's like that. It's almost like that here in New York on the subway. As you know, right now in the winter, the homeless take over the subways in New York, and because that's the one.
I would.
And there was a guy that coughed. He was a homeless guy. He coughed. The car cleared so fast, you would have thought the train was derailing. The car emptied. Yeah. We're not supposed to walk between the subway cars, and the people that were afraid to walk between the subway's car, when it got to the next stop, they would come running in the door. They would run out the door and run in the next door to the subway.
Yeah.
It is really, when people nowadays, when someone coughs, everyone goes, huh?
Yeah. It's natural to cough and sneeze at least 6 times. It's natural. It's natural to cough at least 6. No, it was not 20 times a day or something. That is an average that you do cough and you sneeze certain times of the day because of dust and all the rest of it. But we're living in a world of paranoia now that that everyone's going to get sick and whatever, and it's really unfair, because it's just a natural function. When you eat something, drink something, you might want to cough. You breathe something in, you might sneeze.
Nigel says he has a smoker's cough. he can clear an area really quick. It is. Yeah.
Oh man, yo, it's that time, man. It's time to
Yes, it is.
get out of here. Lawrence,
congratulations on the Flyby guys
yes,
doing their thing
congratulations on that.
man.
And
Thank
Steve,
you very
I'm telling you, one of these days I'm coming out to Helsinki and hang out.
Yes,
Yeah,
we want to
that would be
visit.
awesome.
We want to visit Finland. We want to visit Finland, whether it be recreational or business. But those guys,
I know it's going to be all of the above.
Yeah. I think you guys should definitely come in wintertime when the sea is frozen, get the lake's frozen, get you out, get you walking
in a damn frozen lake. I don't care if they have trucks out there on the ice. I will be on the shore. This is why I fly drones, to fly to an area I don't.
I can see it now. Steven tells me to go out to this lake and like, hold on a second, I got to go to your local hardware. You have 200 feet of rope, 300 feet. I buy a couple of them tied together, tied around my waist. And as you walk out on the ice, I'm going to shimmy out there on my belly, on my knees till I get out there to you with that rope tied around my waist and to the biggest tree, wherever it is on the mainland.
It's an electrical winch. If you hit the remote, it starts reeling you in. That's all you need. But seriously,
Lawrence, people rely too much on electric. What happens when it goes bad? Then you're out there like this, pushing the button. No, hold that rope and pull yourself back in.
But we definitely want to come to Finland. We definitely want to do that. This year we're talking. We definitely
yeah, for sure.
It's that time, guys.
Yeah, it's that time to get out of here. Like I was saying before, next week, well, we'll be back Sunday, but next week, Wednesday, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on because I got the interior decorators coming to tear this place apart and put it back together again. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit here or will I be in the closet or have a tablet somewhere. But if I have to use a tablet, I don't know if I'm going to go live.
Well, you were live one day from the fun fair from was it Coney Island? So you can do it from anywhere.
Yeah, it all depends on whether or not I can. I mean,
that's true. You set up, turn on your hotspot, and you're good to go.
Yeah, but how would I have all of you guys on with me?
We'll figure it out. We'll make it work, man. That's all. Listen, you guys be safe and fly safer.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll be back again on Sunday on Novice Quads.
Yes,
talk about some new and interesting stories. And we'll be back on Sunday to talk about some new and interesting stories. And it should be about the end of your quarantine, right, Stephen?
I will be packing up. I will literally be packing. So I don't know if I can be on because I need to get out in the morning. So
trust me. Totally
let's see if I can come in for half an hour or something. I'll come in for half an hour.
Okay. Well, whatever.
All right. Bye, man. Thanks,
Anything
everyone.
else, Lawrence?
That's it.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys later, and I'll see you next time at the Flight 101 with those guys.